Welcome to the Divine Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Cristina Aroche, and together we are walking the path of discovering your true self and the alignment with your soul. Through these conversations, you will experience a deeper level of connection with yourself and the universe, and most importantly, you will trust in your spiritual journey ahead. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to episode number 2. Today we are talking about the truth, why we are here. And this is a continuation from a conversation from episode 1 where I talked about the self, and I touched a little bit about why we're here and how those reasons are the things that bring us closer to our true self. Those being the healing and the lessons that we learn, as well as the journey of creation and how we move through this desire, the manifestation process, this creation of who we are and the life that we desire to live. And so in this episode, I want to touch on and go deeper into the questions where we ask ourselves, why am I here? Right? What am I here to do? Why did I choose this life? And aside from, what I just mentioned, the healing and the growth and the creation energy, I want to bring it to you in a bigger context, right? To kind of zoom out a little bit our perspective and to see it as this overall divine journey, this greater plan, this greater unfolding that is happening that we are a part of. And I've definitely heard, and I'm sure maybe a lot of you have heard of this analogy where it's kind of like we're these little pieces on a game board, and something greater, something bigger is continuously moving us and continuously supporting our journey and kind of leading our path, right? And because of there's this greater context, there's this greater plan, there's this greater journey that we are all here to experience and that we are all here to contribute to. And so this is what I want to talk about, is our contribution, and really understanding that the bigger picture here, the bigger perspective in terms of why we are here, the bigger truth behind all of this is that we are here to continue to raise the consciousness of this planet, right? To raise the vibration of this earth, to support this evolution that is happening, this greater spiritual evolution, and understanding that everything that is going on right now at this time on earth throughout the world is part of this. It's part of this journey. It's part of this growth. It's part of this rise of consciousness and this rise of the vibration of the planet. And so the thing to understand is that because when we follow our own path, right? So when we embody the energy of our soul, everything that we talked about in episode 1. So when we embody that energy, when we live in alignment with that, when we bring that forward, when we shine our light, right? We turn up that dimmer switch to be on full brightness. That is where we create breakthroughs in our own life, right? We heal, we grow, we get to know ourselves on a deeper level. We open up to our gifts, we open up to our potential. We bring in this creative expression into our lives. All of the things. We create these incredible breakthroughs, and we continue to grow through those breakthroughs in our own life. And so when we do that, what happens is that we hold the space and we essentially create this potentiality for that to multiply and exist in many different ways, in many different contexts, in many different scenarios, right? So an example of this, right? So let's bring it to real world example is if you think of when the smartphone was invented, right? When Apple came out with the first smartphone, and prior to that, everyone was creating flip phones and whatever the phones were at the time that were the most popular version of a cell phone, right? So that's where the production was. And then there was this innovation, and then there was this breakthrough that happened where it was like, oh, actually we have these touch screens and we have these smartphones and all the things that come with that. And so because that came through, right? Now you see all of these different companies and all of these different iterations of a smartphone that exists because it created this potential. It created this existence of, oh, a smartphone can be created and it can exist. So then it began to become the most popular way in which we create these devices, right? And so in a similar way, when we think about our truth, our lives, our potential, our breakthroughs that we go through as an individual, for you to go through your journey, whatever your journey has been, whatever your experience has been, your individual breakthrough, no matter what your experience has been, is the thing that holds the context for more and more and more and more and more of that to exist in this world. So healing from trauma, overcoming the craziest odds to make it to the other side, creating innovation, right? Like all of these things that we do and that we go through in our own individual journeys. And in whatever context it is, there's no like, oh, this is better than that or anything like that. It's about what your unique journey has been, but the breakthrough within that, the context in which you live your life, it creates the potential for more of that to exist. So as we as individuals become more empowered in who we are, as we as individuals become more connected to our truth, more connected to light, more connected to love, and live in that experience, we're actually sending out that frequency and we're creating this ripple effect in the world that then allows more of that, not the same experience, but more of that type of experience to exist for more and more and more and more people. So this is how we begin to change the planet. And this is how we begin to shift the potential of what's possible, because we open up the doorways to those different versions of potentialities through our own unique journey, through our own unique experiences, right? It didn't have to be Apple that invented the smartphone. It just happened to be that company, but any company could have come up with a smartphone. And because that company came up with a smartphone, it created the potential and it created the existence of that potentiality, of that breakthrough. And so now that has become the norm, right? And so it's the same thing. The more that we in our own unique individual journeys experience the healing, experience the growth, experience the empowerment, experience the divine connection, whatever it is, then we create more of that potential to exist and more of those experiences to be true for others. And that's what people talk about, what they mean when they talk about the ripple effect. And really bringing that into, into the context of this conversation is how we can see now how no matter what your life has been, no matter what your journey has been, you have an impact in this world. You have an influence through your energy, through your own breakthroughs, through your own potentiality. Doesn't mean that you have to go and start talking and you have to reach millions of people through your talks to tell them about your journey. Although for some people that may be the case, but really what we're looking at here is the fact that your energy lives in that potential, which means that now there is an opportunity for other people to live in that potential as well. And that is this bigger context that we're talking about in being able to raise the consciousness and raise the vibration of the planet. And so as more and more and more and more people get to live in this way, and as more and more people get to understand this truth and see this different perspective, this is how generation after generation lives start to change and what's possible starts to change. And And this is how the planet changes, right? Because now the people who are moving forward, right, the future generations that continue to walk this earth, they are now living in a whole different context. They are now living in a whole different experience of what's possible, of the potential, right? So people who were here, even just 30 years ago, but let's go back 50 years ago, they didn't have the potential of the smartphone, right? It didn't exist back then. But now these generations and all the generations that are being born now, they are already born into this existence, into this potentiality, which changes the trajectory of what's possible for them compared to the people who were born 50 years ago, right? So it changes the context of the evolution of our individual lives. And so that's why it's so important to recognize and see how your journey and how you show up and the way that you live your life and this whole greater context, it's all relevant, right? I know a lot of people think of themselves or think of their journey as insignificant because they're like, well, no one knows who I am. And I don't really necessarily want people to know who I am, but what difference does my life make to the greater context? I'm just living my life and trying to get by and trying to do better and trying to understand more of myself. But I'm not here to be some big speaker or this or that or whatever. And that doesn't matter, right? That doesn't matter because, again, it's the energy from which you live your life, your individual breakthrough that creates a ripple, that creates that existence of potentiality that then creates the ability for future generations to be impacted by it, to then be able to live in a whole different level, a whole different frequency of consciousness. Okay. So the truth here, right? Going back to the title of this episode, the truth, why we are here, is that we are all here to be a part of the shift of consciousness of humanity. That this is our why, like the bigger context, why we are here, to support the shift in the consciousness of humanity through our own individual breakthroughs, through our own individual healing, through our own individual journeys that we walk, knowing that it all contributes, that it all has an impact, that it all has this domino effect in how it supports the evolution of this planet, how it supports the raising of the vibration of this earth, and how it supports the rise of consciousness and how we view things from that perspective, because we have done that shifting within ourselves, which then translates out into the rest of humanity. Okay. So the other truth here that I want to share with you is that this all happens by you being true to you, by you following your path, by you allowing yourself to live in the alignment, in the context of who you have come here to be, right? So everything that we talked about in episode 1, this is what sets the stage. When you follow your path, you follow your truth, you follow your journey, you follow who you have come here to be. This is the way. This is the journey. This is the process. So I would love to hear from you in the comments wherever you are watching this episode. Is what is the truth that you are here to follow? What is your individual journey, your true self? What does that look like for you, right? Declare it below. Declare what you know to be true for you below. And I cannot wait to hear from you. As always, I am sending you so much love and angel blessings, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you once again for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. And if you want to learn more about the Divine Connection podcast, you can go to CristinaAroche.com/podcast and learn about how you can be featured on the show.